Comedy Hype News, I'm Dom Smith. In Dave Chappelle's block party, Chappelle said, "Every comic wants to be a musician, and every musician thinks they're funny. Music and comedy have always gone together, with some comedians even merging music into their routines. Those rappers and singers seem to have embraced comedians. The friendship between Dave Chappelle and Prince is one of many comedian-singer relationships. Both Prince and Dave's career have a similar trajectory, and there are a few connections between the two of them. In addition to connections and similarities, Prince's influence on Dave is evident. Here's how Prince helped Dave Chappelle become legendary. The first time audiences got a glimpse into the relationship between Chappelle and Prince was the 2004 Chappelle Show sketch, part of Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories. In the sketch, Murphy recounted the night where Prince invited Eddie Murphy and some of his friends over to his house to listen to music.
I kind of learned something that day. Don't never judge a book by its cover.
The night ended in a basketball game where Prince beat Charlie's team by a landslide.
Shoot the J. Shoot it!
Everyone knew Chappelle was hilarious and the show made him a household name, but the sketch would become one of the show's most well-known and catapulted it to another level. According to Donnell Rawlings, Prince thought the sketch was hilarious, but he thinks Prince and Chappelle built a friendship after the sketch. Dave wanted Prince to be in the sketch, and he told him about it. And Prince said, "Yeah, nah." And that's true to Prince's fashion with dialogue. You'll probably never hear of Prince talking more than 3 sentences. Guitarist Mickey Free also confirmed the story in an interview. "Everything in that skit is true. I played in that game. And Prince was Steph Curry all night. They checked the ball to me, I gave it to Prince, and he went to work. You know that one move where Curry dribbles up and they got him covered, but he steps back behind the three-point line and hits nothing but net? That was Prince." In an interview before his death, Prince said, "I love the sketch. That's a true story, by the way. It's not that I'm so good. Charlie's just so bad." From that moment, a friendly rivalry was born. Murphy is on record telling a story about being in a Las Vegas nightclub and seeing Prince perform. As soon as the two made eye contact, Prince stopped playing, scoffed at Murphy, and continued on. In 2013, Prince released the single Breakfast Can Wait, where he used an image of Chappelle dressed up as himself from the iconic sketch as cover art.
Real cover to a real single. Gosh, that makes me so happy.
The following year, Chappelle was promoting his residency at Radio City Music Hall in New York on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. He commented on Prince's creative choice by saying, "That's a Prince judo move right there. You make fun of Prince in a sketch and he'll just use you on his album cover? What am I gonna do? Sue him for using a picture of me dressed up like him? That's checkmate right there." In terms of influence, Chappelle admits that his relationship with Prince is deeper than most because Prince is iconic to his persona.
You gotta understand, he's iconic.
One of the first stories Chappelle shared about Prince happened in an interview with Gayle King. When Chappelle was a kid, his sister went to go see Prince in concert, and she brought home one of his guitar picks that he gave her. Chappelle said he thinks about this moment whenever he engages people in his own stand-up. How to create moments like that. Years later, Chappelle would be backstage at one of his concerts, and he took a couple of guitar picks. He asked Anderson Cooper if he wanted one too. According to Chappelle, the guitar pick was one of the first physical trace of Prince that he had access to. In September 2020, the Prince estate will be re-releasing Sign of the Times. On the super deluxe version of the album, Chappelle will be featured in a conversation with Matthew Bitton. Bitton is a photographer who became friends with Prince's manager. He got an invitation to see Prince perform on a rooftop, and on his way to the show, he bumped into Dave, who was also going to the show. Bitton says that without Prince, he wouldn't have met Dave. On Bitton's Instagram Live, Chappelle reportedly revealed that he owns Prince's motorcycle from Purple Rain. Given how significant Prince is to Chappelle, one can't help but identify the connection between Prince's hit single 1999 and Chappelle's last special Sticks and Stones. For Chappelle, the lyrics he quotes are more than just setups to punchlines. They're the foundation for the narrative of his entire performance. "I was dreaming when I wrote this, forgive me if it goes astray. But when I woke up this morning, could have sworn it was Judgment Day." The Judgment Day that Chappelle is referring to is cancel culture. We live in a time where celebrities and comedians see their own Judgment Day in real time after making comments that aren't well received. Chappelle lets us know that he's been paying attention to the recent cancellation of comedians, whether it's Kevin Hart or Shane Gillis. Chappelle knows that people will be upset when they see the special, and that's okay. Chappelle continues, "This is the bar of the whole song. Tried to run from my destruction, you know I didn't even care. Yes, that lyric sets up a joke about Anthony Bourdain's suicide, but more importantly, it establishes the tone for the rest of the special. Chappelle has always been a huge advocate for the First Amendment, always saying what he wants to say and never backing down. Chappelle uses the lyric to inform us that he doesn't care if cancel culture ends up turning on him because he'd rather be honest and say what's on his mind. Another connection between the two comes from the different stances in their careers. Back in 1993, Prince's label Warner Brothers told him to release fewer albums. Prince was known for releasing a new album every year, and executives feared that Prince would lose his mystique and begin to oversaturate the market. In addition to this, Prince wanted to own all of his own masters, and the record company wouldn't let him at the time. As a response, Prince began making public appearances with the word slave written across his face. Prince felt that the label was taking advantage of him, and he couldn't wait to get out of his contract. Remember when Chappelle backed out on a $50 million contract extension for one of the most successful sketch comedy shows to ever exist and fled to Africa in exile? In a way, Chappelle felt like he was also a slave to Comedy Central. He felt like he opened the door for white people to laugh at him instead of with him. He gave some insight on his thought process on Inside the Actor's Studio, where he talks about a conversation he had with his father. My father told me, "Name your price in the beginning. If it ever gets more expensive than the price you name, get out of there." Thus, Africa. Prince has a lyric that nails the feeling Chappelle illustrates here when he says, "Life is just a party, and parties weren't meant to last." It's obvious Chappelle was at a crossroads for his dignity after season 2 of Chappelle Show. In a 2006 interview with Oprah, he says, "Success takes you where character cannot sustain you." Once again, Prince's lyrics in 1999 hold the answers when he says, "War's all around us. My mind says prepare to fight. So if I gotta die, I'm gonna listen to my body tonight." Since his return, Chappelle's strength of character has been a masterclass in fearlessness. So it makes perfect sense that a song like 1999 and an icon like Prince would inform the entirety of the most poignant special of the decade, especially considering Prince was never short on artistic integrity or dignified behavior. Remember, Prince wrote all of his own music, played all the instruments in the studio, sang all of his own vocals, owned all of his music outright, and had a discography of unreleased music deep enough to sustain a second career. Prince was very protective over his art. In an interview on Lopez Tonight, Prince explained his dislike for artists covering his music. "I don't mind fans singing the songs. My problem is when the industry covers the music. See, covering the music means that your version doesn't exist anymore. A lot of times people think I'm doing Shaka Khan's song, when in fact, I wrote these songs. And it's okay when my friends ask to do them, but there's this thing called the compulsory license law, which allows artists, through the record companies, to take your music at will without your permission. And that doesn't exist in any other art form, be it books, movies. There's only one version of Law & Order. There are several versions of Kiss and Purple Rain. The similarities between the two continue. Chappelle isn't as controlling over his jokes, but he is protective over them. Since returning to the spotlight, all attendees of Chappelle's comedy shows are required to lock their phones in cases to prevent recording. If you have to use your phone, you've got to step into the lobby. Prince's influence on Chappelle is way bigger than jokes. When Chappelle found out that Prince had passed in April 2016, he referred to the day as Black 9/11. He considered canceling his stand-up show. "I almost thought about not coming tonight, but my band was like, yo, Prince would definitely not condone that. And now, there's no place I'd rather be." Chappelle went on to do a 4-hour comedy show that night. In the third verse of 1999, Prince sings, "I've got a lion in my pocket and he's ready to roar." In a way, Prince's use of lions as a symbol of strength is ironic. During the 2019 Mark Twain Prize ceremony, Chappelle shared this quote from his mother: "Sometimes you have to be a lion to be the lamb you really are," as one example of the many ways she encouraged him to remain earnest in the face of doubt. Throughout the special, Chappelle mocks gay men in the audience with their wives, empathizes with school shooters, and explains LGBTQ politics with such grace, it makes one wonder why Kevin Hart even does stand up. In the end, what makes Sticks and Stones so great is his ability to force the audience to confront feelings and ideas they're usually unwilling to interrogate. Prince said, "You can't run from revelation," and Chappelle won't allow you to run from it either. Stay up to date with the latest news and comedy by subscribing here to our YouTube channel, and follow Comedy Hype across all social media. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Dom Smith.
Game. Blouses.
I was there, I seen it.